Hi, everybody. Welcome. It is so nice to be with you again. It is so nice. My only regret is that we aren't together in a classroom so that I could see all of you and but here we are. But I'm so happy you joined me. I want to start with I'm sending you all just a bunch of grace, and I want to jump into this topic, this subject, this rich journey we're about to embark upon. A courageous journey. And the reason I call it that is because if I do my work right, it will have, I'm hoping, a wondrous and enchanting impact on your life. The guides I've chosen to base this work on to utilize are Teresa of Avila and Mary Magdalene. And my goal is to take us deep within the territory of the soul, the way they saw it, and to explain the power that they understood in the soul as best as I can. But before we go there, I want to enter into this entire subject with a bigger picture about what's going on now and why I think this is so important. I always think it's so important to have a kind of a texture of what's going on around you and within you, so that you understand the significance of the choice you made to even take a class like this, that it's a really great, big, huge, big deal. When I did the write-up for this, I described mystics as like mystical astronauts. And I thought to myself, isn't that clever? And then, the more I thought about that comparison, the more it actually made sense to me in so many ways. So I just want to go into that for a little bit. I want you to think about let us just think about everything that's going as much as we can jam into ourselves. Because what we're going to embark upon is we're going to go into the soul, and we're going to snoop around. But as our text, we're going to use the Gospel of Mary Magdalene and the script, the mystical text of Teresa of Avila, to understand this vast territory within us. Hardly two contemporaries, right? And yet, my thesis to you is that two more essential guides we could never find, given who we are today and what's going on. So let's go into who we are today and what's going on before we get to Mary Magdalene and Teresa. You know, when I used that idea of a mystical astronaut, I thought, think about astronauts. Really, they go off the Earth and they gain a perspective of Earth that very few human beings will ever see. We get to see it via film, movie, photographs, whatever, live telecast, but we aren't in the capsule looking at Earth trans atmosphere, a way transcendent of the energy field of the Earth, the skin of the Earth. They've broken free. In a sense, they've broken free of the collective. And there they are, spinning out in space, and they get to see stars that we'll never see. And they get to see this vista, and they get to view the Earth without this sense of boundaries and countries, but as this beautiful blue jewel that's spinning around in its orbit. And as I said in that write-up, Edgar Mitchell had a profound transformation, a conversion experience, if you will, in which he realized this is just one planet we live in, and we're all one humanity. And he spent the rest of his life devoted to teaching that message, that the way we live in this separateness and this division of thinking is outdated. Okay. That when astronauts come back to Earth, they almost have to squeeze themselves back into perceptions that from the moment they get off the Earth and into space, those perceptions about what they thought the Earth was like are outdated. They have to squeeze themselves back in to, like genies in bottles, into this idea that the Earth is chopped up into countries and boundaries, and they have to think like that again after having seen the whole being floating in space, spinning in space. After having seen whole, they have to chop it back into parts. I think what's happening now is that everyone on this planet is sharing this transformation of life in which we are emerging, in a sense. We are breaking through the conscious skin orbit of Earth's collective belief system that has become too suffocating for the civilization that we have. We need, for the way that we understand ourselves, for the way that we understand the nature of God, for the way that we understand the nature of ourselves, for the way we understand our power, for the way that we comprehend how we solve problems, we are shifting. And we are presently shifting from kind of a fossil age to a solar age, from an earth matter-based to an energy age. That shift includes an energetic, a biospiritual shift within our own design as human beings, within our own design. We are actively, I want you to think about this, we're actively dismantling the denser part of our world and converting what we can to energy. We are converting everything to energy technology. We're converting our cars to energy cars. We're converting to energy medicine. We're converting everything that can be converted to an energetic counterpart is getting converted. Now you have to think about that. We are actually converting life here from its matter expression to its energetic. Somebody said to me the other day, someone was telling me that in California, maybe it's California, that there is an Amazon shopping place where you can go in and there's not even a salesperson. You just go in and you have I don't know if it's a card or something, where you in a shopping bag, and you take things and it's automatically charged to your card, and it's all this energetic fuff, and you no longer even need a person to monitor you. It's so energized. I hope I get that right. I think something like that. And it's just all energized. It's like the energetics of it. And then the other day I read that somehow if you have an Amazon or a I don't even know if they, some kind of doorbell and some kind of system, something's going to be activated where it's like this neighborhood, it's called street something or other, and now that's going to energetically let everybody know where. I don't know how this works. I don't even know if I have it straight, but the point is that the energy technology is upping its capacity to monitor everything. And then there's energy medicine. So we are actually consciously and unconsciously deciding what we can convert to energy currency. There's the Bitcoin and Dogecoin or Dogecoin and all of these energy conversions. I don't even know what I'm talking about here. But I do know that in terms of economics, but I do know this. We're heading toward energetic currency. That's a given. I would bet everything on that. Everything. That where we're headed is toward one system of currency. There may be many, but it will be energetic. That everything is going in that direction. Everything. And we are converting into energetic beings right in front of our eyes. We're converting into energetic beings. We are becoming more energetically focused, more inclined toward the energetic domain. And you wouldn't think that even we're adapting new expressions of the feminine and the masculine with even sexuality is we're adapting into sexuality that says we're a they or a he or a we or it's neutralizing. It's becoming the boundaries that were once so clear between matter, stuff, sex, feminine, masculine. These are evaporating because there are no boundaries in energy. There are no boundaries in energy. So there are no boundaries in emotion. As we are literally disintegrating into the energetic world. We are adapting our consciousness into our conscious self and bringing that into our physical body. Instead of our physical body determining what our energetic nature is, our energetic anatomy is expressing itself first and foremost, and then into our physical body. Hope I said that correctly. But we are getting that energy controls matter, influences it, determines it. It's not matter that determines energy. In this incredible transformation, I mean, honestly, everyone, if we sat back and if we were together and we just sat around and we were all sitting in a room and we said, can you actually get over what's happening? We would all be like, oh my God. And then we would start talking about it. And then you'd realize we're converting this to energy and that to energy and this idea of how much faster can we do things. And you don't realize that's a conversion to energy. Convenience is a conversion to energy. Wanting answers faster. And then we're converting our relationships to energy. Here, fill out this paper so I'll decide whether or not I want to meet you on these dating apps, like Go Fish and whatever they're called. And I don't even want to waste my time courting anymore. Who courts anymore? We just fill out a form and decide whether or not you have what on the dating app, whether or not you have certain things that meet my criteria. Why even bother getting to know you in the ordinary way? Everything is at energetic speed. We're moving intimacy to energetic speed. We're trying to move healing to energetic. Everything is being shaped and moved and adapted to our energetic nature. In the next session, we're going to be talking about health and illness, by the way, and the impact this is having on us. But we'll leave that till the next session. But make no mistake, this is happening, and it's impacting your bio-spiritual, ecological self in all kinds of ways. Included in this incredible time, in my humble opinion, which in my heart is not so humble, but I'll present it that way. I think that we are living at one of the most, and it may well be the most extraordinary time in the history of humanity. Now, there were other times when someone could have said this. Certainly, World War II was something like that, especially when, almost every nation was involved in this eruption on the planet. But the elements that we are facing, in that time, for all the chaos that was brought about by a global war, still, I would not say that the basic design of the human being was also involved in the chaos. I would not have said to someone in the 1940s, your intuitive system is exploding. Your multi-sensory system is opening up. Your consciousness is expanding to the energetic domain because you have to adapt to this incredible world that you are now living in. You have to adapt to a transition of perceptual speed. You have to adapt to the sensitivities of the psychic, energetic era in which you are now living. You have to, so that your inner senses are awakening and are actively aligning with your physical senses, which is exactly what I think is happening. Ergo, why we need the work of the mystics. But I don't think that wasn't happening then, but it is happening now. That is exactly what's happening now. Back then, and in the centuries earlier, it would be sufficient support for people to have turned to religions and to their communities and to their traditional beliefs to get through the crises of their time. But it's not anymore. It's not anymore. As we move through these years of transition, which will be decades and maybe centuries, I don't know, but none of us will live to see the end of this, but we are living to see the beginning. And a transition into the next era of human life is not going to happen in 5 years, in 10 years. We are witnessing this profound beginning in which we are experiencing the shedding of, think about this, the shedding of what we don't want to take with, what does not convert to the speed of energy, what does not convert What does not, we can't find an energy counterpart to it, to wit. At a very basic level, for example, coal, we have to convert to an energy, to solar. So at some point they'll stop mining coal. It's just going to stop. It's just going to stop. And so that whole industry is eventually going to stop. Maybe not tomorrow, but it will stop. And anyone with any kind of foresight can see that's over with. It's just going to wind itself down now as we wind this up, as we wind the energetic fuel system up. So that's over. That's not coming with. Another thing that's not coming with is we will go with recycling products only. We can't keep polluting and throwing plastics into the ocean, This is very basic now. We are beginning to make decisions like, this won't go. We can't take this with us. We can't take that with us. So that's very basic. We're also doing that at the level of intellectual discernment and mythologies about what we believe. This isn't the first time people have gone through that. I mean, let's face it, when they discovered the world was round, all the cartographers who had flat maps had to redo their business, right? Oh, the world's not flat? Well, okay. Now, we're adjusting to this idea that energy is conscious. Energy is active. It is the active ingredient of life. It is the active ingredient. Now, physicists are talking about this black matter, dark matter, that it's in fact filled with information. We know that. So did mystics. That's not news. That's not news to Teresa of Avila. That's not news to Francis of Assisi. That's not news to the Buddha. But science is now catching up with what mystical teachings have known, which is what makes yet another thing that makes this time so extraordinary. It's so extraordinary. This is one of the things we are going through. Excuse me. What is part of going through this era of transformation is that our beliefs about what is real. What do you believe in God? What kind of God do we believe in? What is obvious as astronauts is that the myths of God that carried us in all religions, all these decades, all these centuries to this moment in time, are no longer sufficient to carry us forward. As we travel off the earth, and we now look at a whole earth with the possibility of joining a global community, a galactic community, yet another ingredient of our time that never existed before that we know of. We have to look at these mythologies of the cosmos, and we have to go back in and think, well, what is real? What really is real? What is it that we can believe in, and what is true and what is not true? That is where we are right now. And let me say that this this makes us incredibly vulnerable and incredibly, what is the word I want to use? Incredibly ripe for experiences of illumination. Okay, because it's an opportunity for you to ask yourself very rich questions like, what is it I do believe? And what is it I can afford to let go of that I don't want to take with me? What is it that I am aware of that's happening within me and around me? Which brings up a couple of things now. One is something I heard today. When I was, just puttering around my kitchen, I had the news on. Or was it yesterday? Whatever. Anyway, apparently Barack Obama did an interview show with CNN. And one of the interesting incidents they brought up was that when he was interviewed at one point during his presidency and he used the word grace, the next thing you know, his ratings went down as a president because he used the word grace. And I want to point that out, and I want you to hold on to that because of where we're going next. But he used the word grace, the word. Okay, so that just struck me as being, wow. Because the significance of what's the size of the container you live in? What's the size of it? Which brings me to this story. Years and years ago, now it seems like forever ago, but when I was living in Walpole, New Hampshire, I had joined forces with two people to start a publishing company. Okay, so Walpole is this sweet, tiny little town. Tiny, itsy-bitsy, sweet little Walpole. And it is a town that is located on the Connecticut River. And it borders Vermont. So here's New Hampshire, here's Vermont, right there, like that. And there is the Connecticut River. So to get to Vermont, you just take the road from in Walpole. You drive down just a little bit, maybe it's not even a mile. You get to that bridge. You cross the bridge. It's an old wooden bridge, and no, that one's not wooden. It's just regular. You just cross the bridge, and it's like there. And we're not talking George Washington Bridge in New York. It's a tiny little bridge, and now you're in Putney, Vermont. That's it. Done. We're there. We're like going to Springfield, Putney. We're right there in Vermont. That's it. It's maybe a trip of 1.5 miles. Yeah, maybe 2 miles at the most. Now, we had to hire a secretary, and so this woman applied. And she said, I don't know if I should take the job. I mean, she lived right over there across the bridge, 2 miles away. She said, I've never worked in another state before. And I said, what are you talking about? You live right over there, right across the river. But it's another state. I said, you're across the river. Okay, in her mind, it was, I need to decide whether I should work in another state. I mean, Jesus. And, okay, and as I got to know her, because she took the job, she did not, that for her was like this incredibly risky journey, to journey into to New Hampshire every day, this other state, this foreign territory. She's going across a bridge. I'm telling you, I had to get into her brain. I mean, this was just like wild. But it also, like, what size was her world? That was the size of her world. For her to go to Brattleboro, Vermont, which was like 16 miles south of where she lived, 16, 15, 14, something like that, right? I mean, it's a bike ride, a long, heavy bike ride, but that's where just straight south. No. That would be akin to like deciding to go to San Francisco for I take a plane ride. No. It was that big a deal. But that's the size of some thought forms for people. That's what a new reality is like. I really got it. Not then, but she made such an impression on me. Such an impression when we would, everything that was, when things were new, like something, we'd come up with a recipe that really wasn't new, but for her it was. And it was just something that was everything was so risky. It was so risky. I don't know if I should try that. Tabasco was risky for her. It's a foreign food, she said. I'll never forget that. Foreign food. Okay. But is there any difference between that, as I've learned through the years, is there really that much difference between that and considering a brand new consciousness about what the possibilities are within you? If you expanded your understanding of power, if you expanded how you understood yourself, if you really expanded, for example, going back to the use of the word grace. It's easy for me to talk about energy, and it's easy for you to hear energy, and it's easy for you to relate to energy. The word means nothing, really. It's neutral. It's not spiritual. It's not sacred. It has no connection to consciousness whatsoever, much less conscience. It has nothing. Nothing. I could be talking about my light bulb back there, or I could be talking about my energy field. Either way, it doesn't make any difference. But where we're going in this series is we're going to the next level, which is grace. The next level of consciousness, which is beyond energy. When energy is what your spirit sees, grace is what your soul sees. Let me put it that way. An energy healer works with your energetic system. And they can only do so much with that. They can relax you, they can sometimes ease chronic pain, they can sometimes limit inflammation, but actually getting to the source of suffering, to the source of anguish, to the core of disease, you've got to get into the soul. You've got to go deeper. And you require grace. You have to have that asset. You have to have that power. And grace becomes a word. That it's not just a word. It's a portal into another level into sacred consciousness. You can't use the word and then put it down and walk away. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.